Hello and welcome to the Cheater's Diary, where we share raw, real-life stories packed with emotion and unexpected twists. If you love this video, hit that like button and subscribe to join us in spreading meaningful stories. Let's dive into today's journey. My name's Lucas. I'm 23 and I'm a delivery driver. It's not the kind of job that turns heads. No glitz, no fancy office, no impressive title, but it pays the bills. And it's enough to keep me chasing something bigger. I live in a run-down apartment complex in the heart of the city. Picture this: flickering hallway lights, roaches scurrying when you flip the switch, and drunks passed out in the lobby by noon. This place feels like hope's on life support. But I'm not here to complain. I'm here because I chose this, because I had to start somewhere. I grew up in a small town where everyone knows your business better than you do. My family was never flush with cash. I'm the oldest of 6 brothers crammed into a creaky old house. Dad worked double shifts at the factory, coming home with grease-stained hands and a tired look that never faded. Mom was always on the move, cleaning houses, waitressing, doing whatever she could. Money was tight. Some nights, dinner was just toast with a smear of butter, if we were lucky. Growing up like that, you learn to fend for yourself early. By 10, I was changing diapers, breaking up my brothers' fights, and making sure they got to school with something in their stomachs. That wasn't childhood, it was a job. But even as a kid, I knew I wanted more. Not just money, but a life where I could breathe, where I wasn't stuck in my parents' cycle. I'd lie awake staring at a cracked ceiling, dreaming of something bigger, maybe a small coffee shop where I'd serve drinks and give people a cozy corner to escape to. I didn't know what bigger meant, but I knew it wasn't in that town, so I made a promise to myself. I'd leave. I'd find a way to make life better, not just for me, but for my family. I wanted to be the reason my parents could stop working themselves to death. The reason my brothers had options I never did. Leaving wasn't easy. For 6 months, I worked every job I could, washing cars, stocking shelves, hauling boxes in a warehouse. Every paycheck went into a tin box under my bed. No spending, no slip-ups, just saving for a one-way bus ticket to the city. When the day came, I packed a duffel bag, 2 pairs of jeans, a few shirts, and a photo of my brothers grinning in the backyard. I hugged Mom, shook Dad's hand, and boarded the bus with a sliver of hope and a whole lot of grit. The city hit me like a freight train. It's loud, fast, and doesn't care who you are. I found a bed in that crummy apartment because it was all I could afford. $30 a week for a mattress that smelled like mildew and a roommate who snored like a chainsaw. I took the first job I could get, delivering packages. Just me, a beat-up white van, and a stack of boxes crisscrossing the city from dawn to dusk. Fancy neighborhoods with manicured lawns, apartment blocks with broken buzzers, office towers with glass so clean you could see your reflection. I've seen it all. Most days blur together. I'm up at 5 a.m. before the apartment wakes up and starts reeking of despair. I slip out, grab a coffee from the corner store, black, no sugar because it's cheap, and hit the road. My uniform's a navy polo and khakis, with a name tag on a frayed lanyard. I crank the radio, let classic rock keep me awake, and I work. 30, sometimes 40 stops a day. Drop off the package, get a signature, move on. I don't linger at the apartment longer than I have to. Not out of shame, but because every second there reminds me how far I still have to go. But that morning, something felt different. It was a crisp spring day, the air clean, the sunlight making everything sharper. I was at stop number 16, pulling into an unfamiliar neighborhood. Big houses, shiny cars, lawns so perfect they looked fake. I double-checked the address on my clipboard, grabbed the package, a small box, probably some pricey gadget, and walked up a stone-paved path. The house was modern, all sharp angles and gleaming glass, with a front yard straight out of a magazine. I rang the doorbell, stepped back half a pace, and waited. That's when everything started. I felt a spark, maybe hope, maybe just the coffee kicking in. I glanced at the photo of my brothers clipped to the visor, their gap-toothed smiles reminding me why I'm here. I promised I'd make it, that I'd come back for them someday. That thought kept me going, even with the van's AC broken and my polo soaked with sweat. I turned up the radio, letting the music drown out the doubts. This city isn't home yet, but it's my shot. Every package I deliver, every door I knock on is a step toward something better. I didn't know what was waiting at stop 16, but I felt it. That day wasn't ordinary. The air was too clear, the sky too bright. Something was coming. I just didn't know what. I stood at the glossy glass door, package in hand, stepping back like always. The doorbell chimed, and I heard light footsteps inside. The door swung open, and there she was, Claire. She had this presence, confident, warm, effortless. Her hair was loosely tied back, her blouse looked expensive but comfortable, and her jeans fit just right. Some people carry a light of their own, and Claire had that light. I smiled, holding out the package. "Good morning," I said. "Delivery for Claire." "That's me," she replied, taking the box with a slight nod. Her voice was calm, soothing, like it could settle anyone. I don't know what made me say it, but I blurted out a joke. "You don't look a day over 25. Just a throwaway line, the kind I use to make customers smile. But Claire paused, looked at me for a second, and laughed. Not a polite chuckle, but a real laugh, her eyes sparkling like she'd heard something genuinely funny. "You just earned yourself a glass of lemonade," she said, her tone playful. I laughed. "Tempting, but I've got a list of stops to finish." I gestured to the dented van parked on the street, reminding us both I was just the delivery guy. But Claire tilted her head, still holding the package, and said, "Come on, 5 minutes won't kill anyone." She stepped aside, motioning me in. I hesitated. The rules were clear. Deliver, get a signature, move on. But something about her, not just her looks, but her energy, her ease, made me not want to say no. "Guess I could use some cold water," I said, smiling as I crossed the threshold. Inside, the house was like a showroom. Open, bright, minimalist, but elegant. Everything had its place. No clutter, no chaos, just calm. A small painting hung on the wall. A few books sat neatly on a wooden table. I noticed one book left open on the sofa, its cover worn but cared for like an old friend. Claire led me to the kitchen, where sunlight poured through a big window. She poured 2 glasses of lemonade, added ice, and set one in front of me. "I'm Claire, by the way," she said, sitting at the counter. "Lucas," I replied, nodding thanks. "Appreciate the drink." We started talking, natural as anything. She asked how my day was going, and I told her about the job, the streets I drove, the lady who chewed me out that morning over a package 5 minutes late. Claire laughed, but not in a mocking way. "They don't know what it's like running around the city like you do," she said, sipping her lemonade. I shrugged. "Just the job, but the weather's nice today, so I'm not complaining." She nodded, looking out at her perfectly tended garden. "You like this work?" she asked, curious. I thought for a second. "It's fine. Not my dream, but it's a start. I want to open a coffee shop someday, or something of my own." Claire tilted her head, like she was weighing my words. "Coffee sounds nice. You seem like the kind of guy who'd make that work." I smiled, a bit embarrassed. "What about you? Living here, you probably don't stress about late deliveries, huh?" She laughed, but her eyes flickered with something sad. "I've worried about bigger things," she said softly. "My husband passed 3 years ago. Heart attack, on a business flight. It happened so fast. I sat by the phone for hours waiting for news, not knowing what was going on. I didn't know what to say. I just nodded, listening." She went on, her voice steady, like she'd made peace with the pain. "I haven't dated since. Some days are lonely, but that's life." She looked at me, a small smile returning. "You're a good listener, Lucas. That's rare." I shrugged, trying to lighten the mood. "Probably just the van sweat making me quiet." She laughed, louder this time. "No, you've got something," but it wasn't awkward. The lemonade was cold in my hand, and for the first time that day, I felt like more than just the guy with the clipboard. Claire stood, placing her glass in the sink. "You should come back for lunch sometime," she said, her tone genuine. I was caught off guard, but nodded. "I'd like that." We exchanged numbers, and she walked me to the door. "Don't let that number just sit there too long," she said, smiling. I nodded, stepped outside, feeling like I just met someone who saw me. Really saw me, for the first time in ages. As I climbed into the van, the sunlight was still bright, but something in me had shifted. Claire wasn't just a customer. She talked to me like a person, not just the delivery guy. I drove off, my stop list still long, but my mind kept drifting back to that house, that smile, that unexpected kindness. I didn't know why she invited me in, but I knew one thing. That moment changed everything. 2 weeks passed since I stood at Claire's door, handing her a package and tossing out that dumb 25-year-old joke. 2 weeks, and I couldn't stop thinking about it. Not in a lovesick way, but in a real grounded way. I delivered to hundreds of people, knocked on hundreds of doors. No one invited me in. No one asked where I was from or how my day was. Most just glanced at me, signed, and slammed the door. But Claire, she saw me as a person, not just the clipboard guy. Still, I hadn't texted or called her, not because I didn't want to, but because I didn't know what to say. Who was I to her? Just a delivery guy, right place, right line. Maybe she was just being nice that day. Maybe she forgot me the second I left, but part of me hoped she hadn't. It was Monday, my day off. No alarm, no schedule, no texts from my boss begging for an extra shift. The other guys in the apartment were still passed out, snoring like broken engines. I lay on my bed, staring at a stained ceiling, hearing shouts echo from the hallway. The guy in the next bed was snoring loud enough to make me want to chuck a pillow at him. The air smelled of stale cigarettes and mold. I couldn't take it anymore. I grabbed my phone, opened my contacts, and stared at Claire and the last 4 digits I'd memorized without meaning to. My thumb hovered over the call button, hesitating. Then, before I could overthink it, I hit call. 1 ring. 2. Hello? Her voice came through, just as I remembered, warm, steady, grounding. Hey, it's Lucas, from the delivery 2 weeks ago. The guy who, I fumbled, unsure how to finish. She cut in gentle. The guy who said I wasn't over 25. I laughed, tension easing. Yeah, that's me. I was wondering when you'd call, she said, a hint of teasing in her voice. My heart sped up. Really? Of course. I saved your number, Lucas. I figured you were either not interested or just a bit shy. I laughed louder. Probably both. She spoke again, sincere. I'm glad you called. Want to come over? No pressure, just lunch. I looked around the apartment, peeling paint, dirty socks on the floor, the stench of smoke and damp. Yeah, I said, I'd love to. She texted the address, though I already had it memorized. I showered, threw on my least wrinkled shirt, and took a bus across the city. This time, no uniform, no package. Walking up to Claire's door felt different. I rang the bell. The door opened, and there she was, her eyes calm, wearing a soft sweater and dark pants, hair down naturally. She smiled, like she was genuinely happy to see me. Right on time, she said. Come in. Her house was as beautiful as before, but this time I caught the smell of roasted vegetables and a hint of honey. The dining table was set for 2. Hope you're hungry, Claire said, heading to the kitchen. I offered to help, but she waved me off. We sat down to roasted chicken, couscous, and glazed carrots, better than anything I'd eaten all week. You cook better than the vending machine, I joked. She laughed hard. Lucas, your standards are too low. Vending machine. Expired last year. I nodded, grinning. Exactly. She asked if I was still at the apartment. I nodded. It's cheap, and it works. She didn't say anything right away, just looked at me, her gaze thoughtful, not judging. Then she asked, Why'd you come to this city, Lucas? I told her everything. About the cramped house I grew up in, the nights of just toast, my parents working themselves to exhaustion, the side jobs to afford a bus ticket. I told her about my brothers, how I wanted to be the one to let my parents rest, to give my siblings chances I never had. Claire listened. No interruptions, no glancing at her phone, just fully there. You didn't just come here for you, she said quietly. You want to lift your whole family up, but her eyes held something deeper. That's rare, Lucas. Most people your age chase something else. I shrugged. Maybe I'm just wired different. We sat in silence for a bit, not heavy. Then she stood, taking plates to the sink. You can't keep living in that place, she said, turning to face me. I blinked. What do you mean? Move in here, she said, her voice firm but kind. You'll have your own room, no rent, no strings. Just live like a person for once. I was floored. Claire, I can't. That's too much. She shook her head. I've got 3 empty rooms, Lucas. This house is too quiet, and I don't know what to do with it. You need a place. I need some life around here. It's not charity. It's kindness. I wanted to say no, out of pride, out of feeling I didn't deserve it. But when you sleep next to roaches and wake up to screaming every day, kindness like that is hard to turn down. I don't have much to bring, I said, trying to joke. Even easier, she smiled. Come tomorrow. I left her house, my head spinning. One dumb joke, one glass of lemonade, and my life was veering off course. I got back in the van, still 10 stops to go, but I wasn't thinking about them. I was thinking about Claire, her offer, and a chance I'd never dared to dream of. The next morning, I woke up, and for the first time in weeks, I didn't see a stained ceiling or hear cursing through thin walls. No roaches crawling over my shoes, no stench of cigarettes and mold, just soft quiet, a clean white ceiling, and the distant hum of a coffee maker. I was on a real mattress, in Claire's guest room. I still couldn't believe I was here. All I'd brought was a duffel, 2 outfits, a phone charger, and a toothbrush I grabbed at a gas station. Claire didn't make it weird. She showed me the room, handed me a towel, and said I could stay as long as I needed. She meant it. I sat up, walked to the kitchen. Claire was already there, barefoot on the tile, in a robe, sipping coffee from a ceramic mug. "Morning," she said, smiling warmly. "Sleep okay?" "Like I died and came back," I said, scratching my neck. "That bed's got to be illegal." She laughed. "I told you, no reason to live like that." I didn't argue. I still felt out of place, but not in a bad way. Just like I hadn't caught up to where I was standing. She made breakfast, eggs, toast, and sliced avocado. I offered to wash dishes afterward just to feel less useless. She didn't stop me. That day, Claire had errands to run, so I stayed behind, helping her organize a storage closet she'd been meaning to clear out. Just some boxes, old stuff, but it made me feel like I was contributing, not just crashing. I found an old framed photo in the closet, Claire and a man, probably her husband, beaming on a beach. I didn't ask, just set it aside, and she smiled gratefully when she saw it. The week flew by. I still worked, still drove the van, but now I didn't dread going home. No more forcing smiles to get through the day. Claire was usually in the kitchen when I got back, or reading in her sunny living room. We talked a lot, sometimes about small stuff, music, food, places we wanted to go, sometimes heavier, life, loss, dreams, regrets. She told me about her husband, how he could make her laugh with just a wink. I told her about the nights I dreamed of a coffee shop where I could hire people like me, pay them fairly. Claire never judged, never made me feel small. That kind of acceptance in a city where people size you up in a second was rare. One evening, we sat on her back porch. The sun was setting, the sky streaked orange and purple. Claire poured us each a glass of wine. Her idea, not mine. We just sat, soaking in the quiet. "You ever think about going back home?" she asked. I shook my head. "Not yet. I'm not done here." She nodded, like she got it completely. Then she asked, "What about when you're done?" I thought for a moment. "I don't know. Maybe open a coffee shop or a small delivery company. Hire people like me, give them better conditions, fair pay." She smiled, her eyes bright. "That's good." I looked at her, the fading light catching her face, calm and strong. Something about her made you feel safe. No explanation needed. She sipped her wine. "You're not just passing through, Lucas. You've got roots here, even if you don't see them yet." I didn't reply. Just sipped my wine and let the moment sink in. The next week, Claire had a short business trip. 2 nights, a board meeting. She asked if I'd be okay alone in the house. I laughed. "This is the nicest place I've ever stayed without a babysitter." She laughed hard, then left. The house was quieter, not empty, just still. I kept busy, worked, did laundry, organized more boxes she'd okayed. The second night, she called. "Hey." Her voice was relaxed. "Just thinking of you. Checking in." "I'm good," I said. "House hasn't burned down." She laughed. She said the meeting went well. I told her I'd reorganized her pantry to avoid doing my own laundry. Before hanging up, she said, "I'm back tomorrow, around noon. Try not to wreck the place." "No promises," I joked. "I'll make spaghetti tomorrow, cool." She laughed loud. "See you tomorrow, chef." I sat in the living room after the call, staring at the fireplace, thinking how strange and right this all felt. 2 months ago, I didn't know Claire. 2 weeks ago, I was sleeping next to a chain smoker. Now I'm here, waiting for someone who feels important. Then Claire texted, "By the way, my daughter's coming by this weekend." I froze, not sure how that would change things. Saturday morning started quiet, the way I was getting used to in Claire's house. Sunlight spilled through the kitchen window, soft and natural. I was brewing coffee, the smell filling the air, when I heard a car pull up outside. Claire's daughter was here. I wasn't nervous, or at least I told myself I wasn't, but my hands were clumsier than usual, spilling some coffee on the counter. I wiped it up quick, took a breath, and stood near the front door, waiting for Claire to greet her. The door opened and they walked in. Emily, that's her name. About 20, maybe 21, tall like her mom, with Claire's eyes but a younger spark. She wore jeans, a gray hoodie, her hair in a loose ponytail, looking like she'd just stepped off a train and didn't care. But there was a confidence to her. Not naive, just alive. Claire turned to me, smiling. "Lucas, this is Emily, my daughter. Emily, this is Lucas, who I told you about." Emily looked at me, tilted her head, and flashed a playful grin. "So, you're the guy who said my mom's not over 25? I laughed, a bit sheepish. Guilty. She smirked. "Mom kept talking about you. In a good way." Claire gave her a mock glare, nudging Emily's shoulder, making them both laugh. Emily dropped her bag, stretched, and said, "God, I forgot how nice this house is. My dorm's like a shoebox with plumbing issues." They chatted for a few minutes about school, professors, mutual friends. I hung back, giving them space, but Claire pulled me in. "You're family now," she said, like it was no big deal. That hit me harder than I expected. That afternoon, we sat on the back porch. Claire made lemonade like that first day I came by. Emily scrolled through her phone, sharing stories about her roommate who talks in her sleep, about a guy in her class who thinks the moon landing was faked. She was funny, sharp, easy to be around. At one point, Claire went inside to take a call, leaving me and Emily alone. She looked at me and said, "You don't seem like just a guy crashing here." I shrugged. "Started that way, but here we are." Emily nodded, more serious. "Mom doesn't let just anyone in this house, not since Dad passed." I nodded slowly. Claire had mentioned her husband. Emily looked at her lemonade, then back up. "I was 15 when Dad died. It changed Mom. She doesn't date, doesn't bring people home. You being here, it's different." I didn't know what to say, so I just listened. "I'm glad it's you," she added. "You seem real." "Thanks," I said. I try to be. That night, we ate dinner together. Grilled salmon, roasted veggies, Claire's specialty. Emily helped in the kitchen. I set the table. It felt natural, like we'd been doing it forever. After dinner, Claire went to bed early, saying the trip wore her out. Emily and I stayed in the living room, each with a mug of tea, talking about everything. I told her about the time I spilled dog food all over a customer's porch. She told me about sitting through 45 minutes of advanced economics before realizing she was in the wrong class. We laughed a lot. There was a moment, mid-story, when Emily looked at me. Really looked. Not flirty, just a quiet connection. "You know," she said, "when Mom told me about you, I pictured someone else." "Like how?" I asked. "Older, stuffier, but you're calm. Like you've been through a lot, but didn't let it ruin you." I went quiet, not uncomfortable, just thinking. "Thanks," I said softly. The next day, Claire and Emily went shopping, just the two of them. I stayed behind, did laundry, tidied up. When they got back, Claire had grocery bags. Emily had a new hoodie. Emily and I walked around the neighborhood. She talked about college, how hard it was being away from home. I opened up more about my family, my brothers, the pressure of being the one who leads the way. At the front door, Emily stopped. "I'm glad I met you," she said. "For real." "Same," I replied. She hesitated. "This might sound forward, but if you want to talk, just us, I'm down." I nodded, smiling. "I'd like that." That night, lying in bed, I thought about her. Not complicated, just real. Emily was strong, funny, and something about her reminded me of what I'd always wanted, someone who truly listens. For the first time, I felt like I wasn't just passing through someone's life. I was becoming part of something real. 2 months since I stood at Claire's door with a package and a dumb joke about being 25. I never could have guessed that moment would lead here. Claire and I found a rhythm. She gave me space. I gave her respect. We ate dinners together, talked over quiet mornings, shared long stories in the evenings. Nothing romantic between us. Not at all. Just care, trust, and a friendship deeper than anything I'd known. But everything shifted when Emily showed up. After that first weekend, Emily and I kept in touch. Short texts. Nothing big, just jokes, random thoughts about life. She came back to visit again, then again. Between movie nights, walks, shared playlists, we felt something growing. Not rushed, not forced. One night, when Claire was out with friends, it was just me and Emily on the back porch. The sky was darkening, the air still. We sat, not saying much. Then she reached out, touched my hand, and didn't let go. That moment, I knew we weren't just two people who got along. We'd found something neither of us expected. From that night, things between me and Emily changed. We didn't label it, but we didn't pretend either. Emily talked to her mom. Claire smiled, didn't ask much, just said enough to let us know she was okay with it. One day in the kitchen, when Emily was back at school, Claire looked at me. "She looks at you the way her dad used to look at me," she said. "That's rare." I just nodded, feeling the weight, and together, I got a promotion at the delivery company, from driver to logistics coordinator. Not my dream job, but better pay, and it gave me time to think about what's next. Emily was in her final year of college. She started visiting more. On her third trip, we drove out to the edge of the state, camped by a river. No phones, no noise, just a tent, a campfire, and us. That night, by the fire, she said she got a remote job offer, could work from anywhere. "I want to come back here," she said, staring into the flames, "to be near you." I didn't speak right away, just took her hand. She squeezed back. When Emily moved back, Claire gave us space. Emily stayed with her mom at first. Then a few weeks later, we started looking for our own place. We found a small house 15 minutes away, 2 bedrooms, wood floors, a tiny backyard. No mansion, but it was ours. On move-in day, Claire showed up with grocery bags, kitchen supplies, and an envelope with a check. I tried to refuse, but she fixed me with a look. "This isn't charity, Lucas," she said. "It's love." We hugged in the doorway. She whispered, "You changed my life too. You reminded me what kindness can do." That night, Emily and I slept on a mattress on the floor, boxes still unpacked. We didn't need much. We had each other. A year later, I proposed. Nothing fancy, no fireworks. Just a regular Sunday morning in our kitchen, making pancakes. I slipped the ring from my pocket, put it on her finger as she stirred batter. She cried, laughed, and said yes. Before I could finish asking, we got married in Claire's backyard, just close friends and family. No big party, just real people, real moments. Claire gave a toast, her voice clear. "He came to my door a stranger," she said. "Now he's family." After the wedding, Claire gave us a big check, enough to start our future. I used part of it to launch a delivery company, First Step Logistics. 3 drivers, 2 vans, a rented office in a small business park. I hired people like me, hungry, hardworking, underestimated. The name says it all. 1 step, 1 chance, 1 knock on the right door. Emily and I built a life together. Not perfect, but real. We make mistakes, learn to fix them. Eventually, we started talking about kids. That day will come, and we'll be ready. Now, when we visit Claire, we sit on her porch, sipping tea, talking about everything. Work, books, the weather. She always says, before I leave, "I knew that joke of yours was going to lead somewhere." Looking back, I can't believe one offhand comment changed my whole life, but it did. Because sometimes the biggest changes come from the smallest moments.